Welcome to Tales of the Strange, where we delve into the most captivating and intriguing mysteries of our universe. Today, we venture into the fascinating world of ufology, the discipline that explores unexplained phenomena from beyond. We're going back in time to April 1957, in the sunny region of Var. Two women, witnesses to an extraordinary event, observed something that defies all rational explanation. A strange top flying in the sky. This craft leaves behind it a profound mystery. Join me as we dive together into this captivating story and seek to uncover the secrets of this encounter with the unknown. Fasten your seatbelts, as the boundaries of our reality are about to blur. In April 1957, in France, specifically in Var, a UFO phenomenon was reported. This case even extended beyond the Atlantic, land of Uncle Sam. On April 14, 1957, in the territory of the municipality of Vins-sur-Caramy, a small locality near Brignoles. It is 3 p.m. The day is pleasant, so much so that Mrs. Marie Garcin and her friend Julie Rami are strolling near the castle of Vins, along the RD-24. Suddenly, about 100 meters away from them, a curious metallic object losing altitude is spotted and almost lands on the road. This object is conical in shape, with the tip pointing downwards. Given that its upper part is convex, the unknown object resembles a large spinning top. According to the two women, the object measured about 1.50 meters in height. An odd detail is that it is bristling with rods of metallic appearance themselves, animated by rapid vibrations. These rods, Mrs. Rami explains, resembled car antennas. They were of all colors. The two friends continue to observe the object for 10 minutes. As this aerial top maneuvers to land, the two witnesses hear a deafening noise. This unpleasant noise is produced by the road sign located a few meters away, which begins to oscillate and vibrate as if shaken forcefully. It is at this moment that Mrs. Rami and Mrs. Garcin start screaming. Intrigued by these cries, a municipal councillor from the village, who was 200 meters away tending to his beehives, rushes to the scene of the incident, believing he is dealing with a traffic accident, no doubt. At that moment, he discovers a conical object taking off and making large leaps above the road before landing again 200 meters away. Here's what Jules Boglio, the municipal councillor, declared. I rushed to the presumed site of the accident, and there I saw a craft making a huge leap. It descended into a field where it stopped. It stayed there for a few seconds and then landed on a dirt road. It was gray and bristling with antennas. To perform its maneuver, the mysterious cone flew over a second road sign. The sign also began to vibrate violently, emitting strong resonances. The three witnesses can't believe what they see, and especially hear. In the end, the craft moved away to the southeast at a moderate speed, silently and strangely swaying before disappearing behind the nearby hills. After this event, the three witnesses return home, troubled. Initially, they decide not to publicize the matter, fearing they will be seen as mad or ridiculous. However, the next morning, Mrs. Rami finally decides to tell her husband, the village gamekeeper, as well as the mayor of the village. Following the statements of his constituent, the mayor hurried to the gendarmerie of Brignoles. They went to the scene. At the exact location of the observation, the police noted that on the side of the road, the earth had been violently swept away, as if by a powerful blast. The same observation was made on the small path where the earth was scattered over a diameter of about 1.50 meters. It is also worth noting that the grass was scorched. 2 days after the event, the Viscountess Marie-Laure de Noailles, by her marriage Viscountess of Noailles, the size of an olive and twisted in shape, as if it had been subjected to very high temperatures. The Viscountess presented her find to various people, staff from the electrochemistry mine, a dentist, a captain from a military base, and a plumber from the municipality, but to no avail. After analysis, Mr. Cartu, head of the electrochemistry laboratory of the Pécheny Company, believes that the fragment in question is an unusual alloy and manufactured in Paris. Paris? What on earth would a shard of corundum from a factory located 600 kilometers away be doing in Var? On April 17, 1957, Jimmy Guieu arrived in the village of Vins-sur-Caramy, accompanied by Mr. Pierre Ayraud, sound engineer from Radio Monte Carlo studio. Here is the account of the investigation as told by Mr. Guieu, as reported in the magazine Ouranos, number 21. I went to the gendarmerie of Brignoles, presenting my investigator card from Ouranos, and the sergeant kindly allowed me to read his investigation report. He immediately told me that the witnesses were not only sincere, but also beyond suspicion of deception. Unable to accompany me to Vins, the sergeant gave me a letter of introduction to the mayor of the village. Arriving at 3 p.m., we were unable to make contact with the mayor, who was absent. I then set out in search of the witnesses, asking the villagers. My questions were met with silence. No one knew or didn't want to say where they were. After a few minutes of searching the village streets, the news of our arrival had driven away those who knew. Jimmy Guieu continues. During our hunt for witnesses, a Citroën car with front-wheel drive stopped in the village square. The sergeant from the gendarmerie of Brignoles, followed by a brigadier and a gendarme, got out to supervise my investigation. Immediately, the brigadier asserted that the guided craft certainly came from the base of the Levant Island. Disagreeing with this allegation, Jimmy Guieu engaged in a heated exchange. According to him, no nation possesses aircraft that move silently. Furthermore, if the road signs started vibrating with such noise, it's because they must have been caught in the propulsion magnetic field of the craft. Jimmy Guieu then proposes to go and see if there were magnetic remnants. In the presence of the gendarmes, Jimmy Guieu asks the authorities present to observe the experiment. I brought my compass against the body of my C4, he explains, and had them note the amplitude of the needle deflection, 3 to 4 degrees minimum. Then I went to place my compass at the exact location of the landing with negative results, no magnetic resonance. Later, the investigator placed his compass 5 meters away. The road sign made the needle jump, approached at 5 centimeters, he specified, thus marking a deviation of 15 degrees. The experiment continues up to the flight path of the craft, which 100 meters away passed over another road sign. This one was also magnetized and caused the needle to deviate by 15 degrees as well. The gendarmes on site are astonished. Back in the village, Jimmy Guieu meets Mr. Rami. After discussion, the latter agrees to fetch his wife and Mrs. Garcin. Subsequently, the two women finally agree to speak. The interview is then recorded and broadcasted the same evening at 7 p.m. The press then seizes the matter and announces that all intelligence services of the country are on alert. A few days later, the air police visited the village along with some investigators dispatched by the prefectures of Toulon and Lyon. The gendarmerie of Brignoles drafted a detailed and precise report, which they sent to the air police, the Ministry of the Interior, the command of the 4th Air Region, and several official organizations. Conclusion: unknown object, not originating from any French or foreign powers. Subsequently, the story had international repercussions. So much so that it ended up in the American archives of the Air Force, notably in those of the Blue Book report. It was recorded in a 60-page report written by the Foreign Technology Division of the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Alan Hynek, a famous ufologist, specifies that the French case is considered a hoax. According to him, the high level of strangeness baffled Air Force personnel, who conducted no on-site investigations. The case was reopened years later by an investigator who hypothesized that the UFO seen in Vins-sur-Caramy was merely a small helicopter. In response, ufologist René Fouéré remarked, "We also note that according to information obtained from the best sources, at the moment the top began to rise, the witnesses also saw a whirlwind of dust rising." René Hardy points out that a helicopter would have instead scattered the dust in all directions. Although this case remains a subject of debate, the flying top of Vins-sur-Caramy gained unusual recognition, as it inspired one of the masterpieces of the 1970s, when Jacques Vallée met director Steven Spielberg and told him this story. Later, when Spielberg made the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he used a specific detail. During a scene, when a UFO appears, he made one of the road signs vibrate. As our exploration of tales of the strange comes to a close, we are left with a sense of wonder and bewilderment at the sighting of the flying top in Var in April 1957. This encounter with the unknown reminds us that our universe is far vaster and more complex than we can imagine. The mysteries of ufology continue to challenge our traditional concepts of reality, inviting us to remain curious and open-minded in the face of the unexplained. I hope this dive into the strange has captivated you as much as it has me. Don't forget to share your own experiences and reflections in the comments. May your curiosity always guide you toward the unknown.